A long time ago, I made a video talking about some of my favorite episodes in the show in my usual top 7 format, and it almost physically hurts to watch due to, well, the editing, the people involved, and the general laziness of it. But it was a foot in the door to get where I am now. On that list at the number 2 spot was a Canterlot wedding, an episode that initially impressed a lot of people and became the most epic finale of the series, until Twilight's Kingdom knocked it out of the ballpark for being more epic. But, you know, as times have changed, I started to think a little differently on it. You know when you watch an episode and you're chilling afterwards thinking, that was a good episode. But then you start dissecting the episode and start to realize, wait, why did I like this episode? One reviewer brought their thoughts on this episode to the forefront so people could see what he was on about, and one reviewer is going to travel back to it and look at it from a whole different perspective. Greetings, every people. This is your cult of personality speaking. ToonKritic's the name, and tunes are the name of my game. So yeah, Canterlot Wedding, the 2-part Season 2 finale that finally made me question if this show really is for little girls. Amidst all the dark elements of, well, brainwashing and Disney-level villain songery. I'm going to assume a majority of you have already seen this episode so far, but for those that haven't, well, here's this.
Hello, I am a very important character who has just been introduced, and I'm marrying another very important character who has just been introduced, who is also a princess, and I'm the older brother of the main protagonist. I literally have no idea who you people are.
Bam, there you go, no further explanation. Some people have enjoyed this episode. I still do to this day. I can watch this now as a reviewer and have a different mindset than I did before, analyzing the whole thing scene by scene to see what people mean. I rhymed. But for a time, people really didn't like this episode, and regarded it as one of the worst 2-parters because of 2 characters. Exhibit A, Shining Armor, Twilight's written-in brother who's captain of the Royal Guard, and Exhibit B, Miss Mary Sue, aka Princess Miyamori Cadenza, Shining's fiancé and former full sitter of Twilight. Let me be clear. I am all for new characters, but there's a certain way for them to be introduced and for people to care. It's not about making them just to put toys up on the shelf, or at least it shouldn't be. It's about making an impact and making them worth the screen time. The fans eat these new characters up like a brand new amiibo wave, and it doesn't take long for fan art and fanfics to bloom. It doesn't seem to matter how much depth or backstory we get though, because we always seem content with filling in the blanks where the show doesn't succeed. A Canterlot Wedding introduces these new characters, however, and does a good job at least to establish them. But I can't help but feel they were just written in for this episode, and any thought of prior establishment went right out the window. Here's what I'm trying to get at. I feel this episode could have been a little better had, among other things, Shining and Cadance had been initially introduced beforehand. We only got a few glimpses into their relationship in this 2-parter. There was potential for more. I mean, hey, any wife who's fine with being used as a projectile weapon against an evil spirit of darkness is swell in my book. The 2 flashbacks we were given for Cadance and Shining involving Twilight I think bring enough to satisfy the casual viewer on the first viewing. That's fine. But wouldn't it have been better? Wouldn't it have been great if Shining or Cadance were right there in the first episode, if even for a bit? Shining I just like not just from a design aspect, but also from how he sounds and how he has this unusual, dorky yet sexy personality to him. You know, like that one guy who was all dorky and played a bunch of D&D with all the nerds, but then you got his shirt off and you're just like, hashtag, oh no, he's hot, hashtag Prince of the Full Moon, hashtag Dorkules. I enjoy seeing brother-sister dynamics, but it's just like, hey, I'm here, you've known me all your life, and we've just had a song to show how close we are. We cool, groovy. And the same thing with Cadance. Cadance and Twilight's relationship got explored a bit in Three's a Crowd, but still, something tells me a little bit is missing. Like, there was supposed to be episodes prior to create a foundation for this. I'll admit I initially had a problem with Cadance because I found her bland and uninteresting, but I think she grew on me. There's more to her character, I think, than what we know so far, and it would be nice to see more, especially more so with her love life. You know, it's there, yay, but do we really care? And you know, I also find it funny that it's hard to write a convincing and interesting love story these days, but it seems so incredibly easy for there to be some romances that have little to no development or expect us to believe they're fairy tale romance in the first place. Sword Art Online. Yes, I'm comparing Shining Armor and Cadence to Kirito and Asuna. At least with the former, the princess saves the night. And at least this princess doesn't get some awesome introduction and starts to come off as a somewhat interesting character, but then slowly turns into a love interest that's only there to make Kirito look good, and then she gets captured and turned into a damsel in distress, and she gets objectified and made into fan service, and then she doesn't even do anything in the first half of this freaking season, so she's useless and stupid, I can't Getting back to my point, though, love has to be relatable, and if there's no backstory to it, if there's no development other than what we see in just one episode, is that really enough? But ToonKritic, you silly, sexy, handsome W, there is backstory. In the comics, which we all know the debate on whether or not the comics are canon is a video in and of itself. But if we want to use the comics, specifically issues 11 and 12, as that backstory for Cadence and Shining, that's good. It's adorable, albeit a little rushed, but at least it's something. They made use of that. If they had used this in the show, it'd serve as a great intro as to how they met. So you have a beginning and an end, you just need to fill in the middle. But ToonKritic, you edgy red and black stud, you, are there examples of good backstory? Yes, Modpie, Gilda, and Moondancer to name a few. There are characters that the fans connected with right away and were put into an episode on a smaller scale. These three weren't put up to such high expectations. They were introduced, or in Gilda and Moondancer's cases, reintroduced, but backstory played a critical part in Lost Treasure of Griffinstone and Amending Fences, specifically when it came to these characters. Their episodes were simple and fun without being some elaborate wedding with such high expectations. Point is, I don't dislike Shining Armor and Cadence. I love these two. I can't fault or judge them for not getting more of a build-up for this episode, unlike some people, but I want to state that this isn't a criticism of these characters, or really this isn't even an episode review. This is more of a suggestion, a much-needed supplement that could have made them stand out more. These two have more than enough potential to have one episode to all to themselves, and it would give them something to work with that would perhaps make these two more interesting. Lord knows they can do better than that one little snippet from the 100th episode. I vote these two as the most adorable couple and think that if we had the chance to see them more often, they'd be great recurring characters. And I know I hark back to how things could be improved. This is all in hindsight, I realize, but it's things like this that keeps the gears of the fandom going. It makes us wonder how things can be improved, and it helps fuel the fanfics, the headcanons, and the theories that spark discussion and walls of text in the comments below, which neatly segues into my question for all of you. What do you think of Shining Armor and Cadence's relationship, and do you think a Canterlot wedding could have been done different? Do you think what I said could have made this episode mean more? Throw down some comments, let's see how this goes. Just remember, it is always important to have some level of depth. Headcanons, fan theories, we're here to fill in the blanks like a kid who doesn't know how to use a connect the dots book. And it's all cool until the writers make something canon and destroy that fanfic you worked on till 3 in the morning. And then it's hunting season. And with that being said, I am the ToonKritic, keeping you totally tuned for your entertainment. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay awesome.